the current child support, current medical, dental support, and set that all at 0, and specifically reserved the issue of confirmation of arrears for today's hearing. So that's what we have today, a confirmation of arrears. I think in a way it's sort of a partial agreement because the parties agree on what's on the books. And if you'll just give me 1 second, Judge, what's on the books as of April 30th, and I believe it's agreement of the parties, but I will check, is in child support, $2,391.23, and in medical support and all the other categories, 0 as of that date. And I believe the controversy is about whether or not the non-custodial parent should get credit against those arrears for direct payments. And I think that pretty much sizes it up.
Okay. Ms. Zimmerman, are you agreeing that that is what's in controversy today?
Your Honor, I do. Well, Your Honor, the filing for suit for modification I have filed on 12/16 of 2024 for modification of support order and motion to confirm support arrearages. So the date that I have that was filed was in December of 16 of 2024.
Judge, I'm wrong. She's right.
Okay.
And under that 156 401 for substantial change, we're asking that Mr. Gandhi's child support be set at 0 under 156.401C1 since he is incarcerated, and we are asking that that amount of 0 go back to 12/16 of 2024 on that modification. It's for that amount of time.
Okay.
And then
Mr. Covett, are you opposed to that?
Okay, so I think that, and I wasn't at this hearing, Judge, and the court has notes on it, then please defer, but I think that matter was already decided in the temporary order, and that it might have been litigated once already. But again, whatever the court wants to do there, but to do that, we would have to, so to speak, erase the temporary order and come up and substitute an order in place of that to take judgments as of that date.
Well, if we already heard this in temporary order, would y'all mind taking a look at that and see what we've got on that?
if you don't mind, Your Honor, because I wasn't present, and since the filing did go back to 12/16, I believe that even if it's temporary orders, we can still amend temporary orders to reflect that date of 12/16/2024 to start that 0 amount of child support as per the family code.
Okay. And Mr. Covett, would that change the arrears number if we did that?
Absolutely would, Judge. And the reason I think, and again, I wasn't there, I know Ms. Zimmerman wasn't there, is that under the temporary orders, it only has one thing that says that the court reserves the issue of, and that's for the current child support and medical support. And the temp order said that it was 0 as of that date, which was the date of the order. So, and I'm trying to scroll, but that was March the 7th. So I think obviously they could have gone back to actually on a modification, Judge, you can only go back to the time of service, not the date of filing, but even if there hadn't been a temporary order, you can only go back to the date of service on the non-custodial parent to modify. So you couldn't have modified before service on the NCP. So I'd have to come up with that date. But again, I think it might have been the court's intent, and because it's the court's intent, I'll leave that to you, Judge, to make that temporary order final as to those issues. Again, that's your call, Judge. And I will try. It's going to take me a minute or two to figure out the date that he was served. And I think that's what the law says you can go back to, is the date of service on the non-custodial parent.
Can you look at that date for me? see what you can find.
It's going to take me a minute or two. But yes,
Yeah.
the answer is yes.
Your Honor, may I say something to that?
Hang on. It looks like service date for Miss Gandhi may have been March 7th of 2025.
Maybe she just showed up on that day. So because that's the date of the order, I believe, the temporary order.
Right.
Again, I'm trying to get into the electronic version and see if I can find the service date on both parties.
Yeah, because Ms. Zimmerman, Mr. Cavett is correct. It's not the date of filing, it's the date of when she was served.
Service
Oh,
or,
I got the dates. He was served February the 2nd, 2025, and she was served March the 7th of 2025. That's what our records show.
Okay. Ms. Zimmerman, do you understand that? Do you have a dispute about that?
yes, Your Honor, and I would argue that service would to what party. It doesn't actually say what party, it just says service or notice by appearance. So we could use that, even that February 2025 when Mr. Gandhi was served, to go back to that date to zero it out.
Okay, here's the problem, Ms. Zimmerman. And you tell me if I'm again, you know you have a right to de novo hearing if you don't agree with my ruling. But I think the state's position that you can only go back to when Ms. Gandhi was served. So you're
Okay.
pointing out when Mr. Gandhi was served in February, okay? And I'm trying to tell you, and maybe I'm reading this wrong, so I'm just trying to tell you that it appears to me, and I do believe that Mr. Cavett is correct. We don't go by the date he filed. We go by the date the respondent was served.
But wouldn't they both be respondents?
Well, I'm saying, I'm saying the date that the respondent in the matter of his pleading, okay? Or y'all's pleading to, because you're trying to go back to when Mr. Gandhi filed, right?
Well, the state filed.
Okay, all right. But the respondent, Ms. Gandhi, was not made aware of the request, okay, to modify it to zero until March 7th of 2025. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, so
Okay.
then we would then ask that as of March 1, since that obligation for child support is for that entire month, from March 1 going forward, that it would be zeroed out then. If for the month of March, that amount should be zeroed out also.
Okay. What's the date of the temporary order that we did? Was that March the 7th?
Yes, Judge.
Okay. All right. Well, and now, Ms. Zimmerman, I may entertain other things because I understand y'all have some evidence about direct payments to ask for credit. But at this point, I'm inclined to say, nope, the finding of zero current child support and zero current child support per the temporary order was as of March 7th. And so any obligations that came after that date, like the April 1, you're correct, it would be zero after March 7th. But it was the last payment due before March 7th was March the 1st. And so I'm not going to go behind that order, and I don't believe that the code allows me to do that anyway. It seems to me that we're going back, you're trying to get Mr. Gandhi all the credit we can, okay? And you got a couple of bites at the apple here, and I see that. But your
And I
first bite at
appreciate
the
it.
apple, I'm saying, no, Counselor, my ruling is that, I know that was a temporary, but on final, I'm going with the date of March the 7th, 2025, as the date that we reduce child support and cash medical to zero per month. And I think that that's really all the code allows me to do. for that, under that argument, okay? Now, you had some evidence you wanted to present with regards to some direct payments. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, Mr. Cavett, is there anything else you want to inform the court of at this time? I think I've clarified where I stand on the reducing the child support and cash medical, the date. And so that would
Just-
mean at this point, if that's correct, then the number, unless there's some proof otherwise, the number of $2,391.23 owed as of April 30th, that's the position the state is taking, correct?
That's what we're saying is on our books. Now, of course, the state doesn't, our books don't reflect things like direct payments when the non-custodial parent hands money to the custodial parent, and we don't follow people around. So we'll not take a position in that. And the only position would be is that he can only get credit up to the amount owed, and
Okay, all right.
and leave that to the court's discretion.
Okay, do you have any witnesses you want to call at this time, Mr. Cavett?
No, well, but I guess, and I think I've said this, but I think that we agree, all of the parties, that that is the number that the Attorney General's books show. It may not be with credit for direct payments, it may not be the final, but I think all the parties agree to that. So if I'm correct in that matter, then I'll stand back and let Ms. Zimmerman present evidence regarding direct payments.
Okay, why don't we do that then, Ms. Zimmerman? Let's go ahead and let you present your case through Mr. Gandhi and also through Mrs. Gandhi as to what you're asking credit for. And once I hear what you're asking credit for, Ms. Gandhi may, in fact, through the cross-examination, agree that he's paid those monies. So let's kind of hear where everybody's at. You okay with that, Ms. Zimmerman?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, why don't you go ahead and call your first witness then?
Your Honor, I'd like to call Mr. Christopher Gandhi, and I've asked permission to share screen.
I've given it to her. Yes? Okay,
Could you please state your name for the record?
My name is Christopher Gandhi.
And Security Service Federal Credit Union, is this your bank account?
Yes, ma'am, it is. Checking account ending in 8071.
Okay. And you were divorced as of August 17th of 2021, is that correct?
That's correct.
And you were ordered to pay child support under that court order, is that correct?
That is also correct.
Okay, on 12/21, there's a debit card for Cash App for $30. What and who was that money for?
The Cash Apps that I sent to Avita are dubbed that Cash App as we're looking at it. So those Cash Apps are going to Avita Gandhi.
Okay, so on 12/21, there was a $30. On 12/21, there's another $25. On 12/21, another $25. 12/21, $20. And then 12/21, $18.40. Were those all funds that were sent to Mrs. Gandhi?
Well, the last one, that's Dolphin Braces, I believe that's some kind of charge for the braces that my daughter received that is declared by our divorce decree final to go 50-50 on.
Okay.
That I never received her 50% amount. We have text messages showing that conversation. We're able to show any point in time we want to do so.
Okay. And then I'm going to move forward to 12/27. And this is the year 2022 to 2023. $300 Cash App. And who was that sent to?
I believe to Mrs. Gandhi as well.
Okay. Another one of 12/27 of $100.
Yes, ma'am, as well.
And then Apple Cash of $55. What was that for?
Some form of payment towards Mrs. Gandhi.
what year was this?
The statement is from 12/9/22 to 1/8 of 23, Your Honor.
Okay,
On 1-3, there's a $300 cash app to Nelson. Is that, to whom is that to?
Also, Mrs. Gandhi.
On that same day of 1-3, there's another 150 amount, and that cash app is to whom?
Mrs. Gandhi.
Now there's debit card charges to Kinetic Move on 1-5 in amounts of 155, 75, and 65. What are those charges for?
The move is short for movement. That's my daughter's dance when she used to be in dance. So that was towards tuition or uniforms or just things she needed for dance. That was agreed upon Mrs. Gandhi and I to go 50% that she never gave back anything.
Okay. Statement from date 1/9/23 to 2/8/23, Mr. Gandhi. There's a $200 transfer on 1/9. Do you recall that transfer and to who that transfer went to?
Those are transfers to 31171 checking account. That's the child support checking account I have dubbed to transfer to Mrs. Gandhi.
Another on 1/13 of $200. This account 31171 was an account set up to
Mrs. Gandhi.
for child support.
Yes, ma'am.
11760. On 117, there's another $60 transfer to that same account, and that's for Mrs. Gandhi.
Yes, ma'am. Child support sure does get expensive with her.
Okay, and this is above the $2,300 that you were ordered to pay, is that correct?
That's also very correct.
And then on 121 and 120, $300 and $400, those are transfers again to that 31171 account.
Yes, ma'am. But the $400 payment, I'd like to recognize the last court session I apologize, March that we had. I said I sent $400 to Mrs. Gandhi for a food allergy that she did. So not only am I giving her money for child support, I'm giving her money to help with her health concerns. And that's the $400 transfer that we spoke about back in March. Not only did I give her the money, I drove her to the place.
On 2/7, $200 transfer again to account 31171.
Also to Mrs. Gandhi.
And who has access to this checking account?
That's Mrs., if I recall, I could be wrong, but that's Mrs. Gandhi's checking account that ends that. So she has, I don't know who she has dubbed access to it, but that question would be better directed towards her.
Okay, but you cannot pull money from that account.
No, ma'am, I do not.
Okay. Statement number from 2/9/23 to 3/8/23. There on 2/10, there's a $65 credit card to payment to Kinetic Movement, and that is your daughter's extracurricular activity that you were dividing half
Yes.
of that payment. And did you receive any of that payment from Mrs. Gandhi?
No, ma'am. And that's the full amount of her tuition, $65. It was a monthly basis.
Statement 2/9/23 to 3/8/23, Mr. Gandhi. On 2/13, $426 transfer to account 31171. That transfers to whom?
Mrs. Gandhi.
On 2/13, there's another $200 transfer to that same account. Would that be to Mrs. Gandhi?
Yes, ma'am, that would.
And these transfers that you're making, are you making at her bequest?
Yes, ma'am. It's a discussion between the two of us. That is correct.
And would these discussions follow through on your at-close communications that you have?
Yes, ma'am. There's various conversations about different, I don't believe the full amount is there. It may also take place in a phone call, but there's conversation about needing money or extra money or pay for the hotel room, you have tax return, you make this much money a year, you should afford it. If you don't pay for it, we can't do it. Our child will be without if you don't do these things.
Okay, on 213, there's another 175 transfer again to account 31171.
Also, Mrs. Gandhi.
On 412 of 23, 458 to debit card to Wavefront in Portland. What was that for?
That's my son's glasses that he needed. And again, his glasses that he needed. And again, that's a medical expense. That's declared in the final degree to go half.
And did you receive $220 something from Mrs. Gandhi at any point in time?
I did not, but she was able to go and pick up my son's glasses that I purchased for him for his sight. I wasn't notified or anything that the glasses came in. She just took it upon herself to impose into it.
On 427 of 23, there's $943.21 to an Airbnb. What was that for?
I believe these charges are mistaken. I believe these ones do not go to Mrs. Gandhi. This is definitely something of me.
Okay. Then our next charge of 5223, again to Kinetic Movement, that's your $65 for your daughter's dance tuition.
That is correct.
And was there any reimbursement for that month of May?
Not even a thank you.
Mr. Gandhi, the next amount on 5/9 of 23, $73.09 to Rhythm Optics LLC. What was that for?
Transfer made to Mrs. Gandhi.
On 8/5 of 23, $186.52 to Rhythm Optics. What is that?
The dance stuff to Mrs. Gandhi as well.
What is that again?
Something to do with my daughter's dance.
Oh, dance, okay.
On 9/16 of 23, you paid $139.92 to Rhythm Optics. Is that your daughter's dance class?
Yes, ma'am.
And was half of that funds refunded to you by Mrs. Gandhi?
No, ma'am.
You paid tuition again on 9/30 of 23 of $126.63 to Rhythm Optics. Was there any refund to you from Mrs. Gandhi?
No, ma'am.
$10.28 of 23, $24.76 to Rhythm Optics to your daughter's dance. Was that paid by you?
Yes, ma'am, it was. And it was not reimbursed by any form.
$315.93 on 1/9 of 24 to a Hilton Hotel in San Antonio. What was that for?
So last time we were here in court in March, I also explained how I paid for hotels for my daughter's conventions for dance. That's one of the purchases I paid for her room.
Okay. And was there any reimbursement for half of this amount for the hotel stay?
No, ma'am. Not only would I pay for their room or transfer her the money, she would force me to pay for my own hotel room to stay when there was room in there, and there was agreement that she would allow me to not do so. There's text conversations stating this as well.
On your app closed communications?
Very much so.
On 2/5 of 24, $200 transfer to checking 31171. That was a request from whom?
Mrs. Gandhi,
On 2/26 of 24, $217.35 to Holiday Inn in San Antonio. What was that charge for?
again, it was a hotel room for conventions.
For your daughter's dance competition,
Yes, ma'am.
and you did not stay in that hotel room.
Well, the bottom two, no, ma'am.
227, there's 116.53 and 135.86 to the height.
I believe the top one is not the ME San Antonio is not a hotel stay. And the Hyatt is me staying.
Okay, so you paid for Mrs. Gandhi in the Children's Hotel at 217.35.
Yes, ma'am.
On 5/8 of 24, $415 to US Sports Camp. What was that payment for?
I paid for my daughter to go to the Nike track camp. It was arranged by myself and her mother and my daughter for Avita to drive her there, and they never went after I had paid.
Did Mrs. Gandhi reimburse you for any of those charges?
No, ma'am.
On 7/8 of 24, $100 Cash App payment to Avita.
That's correct.
And did she request these funds from you?
There's a conversation. Sometimes I also transfer. I believe this one's more so along this, and some of the others may be the same. Like my daughter might want some money, or I might give my daughter some extra money. But there's also conversation that she needs help, and if I don't do it, they won't be able to get whatever. So there is conversations between Avita and I, yes.
Your Honor, this will be our last page. 7/10 of 24, $100 Cash App to Miss Avita. Was that a request from her?
No, that's her transferring the money back because something got upset, something didn't happen. And that's actually, if we're looking at it, it's credited back to me.
And are you asking this court to reimburse you, to give you credit for the transactions that were made directly to Mrs. Avita's bank account? I'm trying
Yes,
to,
ma'am. That and or reimbursement. Yes, ma'am, I am asking that.
okay. Your Honor, at this time, I'd like to call Mrs. Gandhi.
Are you gonna ask that this documents be admitted into evidence, ma'am?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, are you asking for that at this time, that this document be admitted into evidence?
Yes, Your Honor.
What is the title of your document, ma'am?
Exhibit 1, Security Service, Exhibit 1, Security Service Gandhi bank account.
Okay. Miss Avita Gandhi, can you hear me okay? Miss Gandhi?
Yes, yes, sir, I'm here.
Okay, you've heard the testimony of Mr. Gandhi per this Exhibit 1 Security Service bank account that he's testified to, and they've asked to admit this document into evidence. Do you have any objection in admitting this document into evidence?
I do, only in the sense that some of these items that I guess I have disagreement with some of these items as to whether or not they were given, whether or not they were for medical or personal. I don't have receipts along with a lot of these items that are in question. I haven't been informed of a lot of these items that are in question. So I'm trying to write all of this down, and I'm just now getting all of this information today. And so I don't have a chance to even verify or see if what he's referring to is correct. And so that's kind of where I'm at with this right now.
Okay. All right.
Your Honor, may I?
No,
Okay. Well, I'm not admitting him for purposes of establishing the truth of every single item as to what the purpose of it was for. I'm only admitting it for purposes of showing that Mr. Gaddy's making a claim that those particular items, and there's lots of them, going back to 2021 all the way to 2024, that he's making a claim that this is his bank account and that these were funds he's claiming were used for your benefit in some form of child support or a portion of monies y'all agreed to split. I'm basically admitting it for that limited purpose. That's his claim. Not that the actual amounts or the actual purpose for which he says they were done. I'm not, that's just going by his testimony. Okay, Ms. Gandhi?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to go ahead and admit the document for the limited purposes of establishing that he paid some things. You know, what they were actually for, we go by the testimony, okay? So I understand you're contesting that, what they were made actually for. But, so I am going to go ahead and admit Exhibit 1 security service bank accounts into evidence. Okay, go ahead, Ms. Zimmerman.
Mrs. Gandy, do you recognize bank account ending in 31171?
According to the statement, yes, I believe it, or it showed it somewhere.
Is this document here where I'm pointing to?
Oh, I see it now.
Is this your account?
That is a personal checking account, not a child support checking account.
But who does this account belong to?
It was belonging to mine, yes.
Okay, and these transfers then that go from 426, $200 and 175, you are stating that this 31171 is your own personal bank account.
31171 is a personal checking account for me, yes.
Okay, so, and Mr. Gandy, is he a joint owner of this account?
No, ma'am.
So the only person then that would have access to these funds would be yourself.
Yes, ma'am.
Any, does your daughter go to Kinetic Movement?
She did, yes.
And her tuition was $65 monthly?
So she was in dance at Kinetic Dance for about 3 years, and her monthly fee was $65 for 3 years.
On this page, on 210 of 23, $65 payment that was made by Mr. Gandy to your daughter's dance class. Was that a request made by you?
The bill that was sent from Kinetic Movement was sent to my email address along with Christopher Gandy. And I do not recall having an agreement of paying 50-50 for dance. And so that email and that invoice was given to him, and he had the ability to pay it through the QuickBooks link that Kinetic Movement sent out for us.
Ms. Zimmerman?
Yes, Your Honor.
I may be able to save you some time.
Yes.
If you will focus on the cash apps Mrs. Gandhi has admitted that he's put monies into an account that's only hers, that he does not have access to. If you will focus on each one of those so that we can get a total of how much actual cash he put in cash apps for her.
Yes, Your Honor.
If you'll kind of give me a summary of them, just kind of maybe start at the top, and we'll make a list and we'll put amounts down and add them up. That would be very helpful.
Yes,
for
Your-
me. Okay.
Yes,
And I know you've just gone through the whole thing. I'm not asking Mr. Gandy to come back and testify again. I'm just, or on this matter, to go through all of them again. I'm just asking y'all to start at the top and just start giving me dates and amounts of direct cash that was put into Miss Gandy's account. You got that?
including cash apps, Your Honor.
Yes, including Cash App.
Thank you. Mrs. Gandy, on 12/21, the $30 cash app to Candid, is that your account?
I do not know. I would need to verify this information according to my Cash App that I have.
Well,
that was-
let me ask you this. Let's try this then. There were some, I know several, that Mr. Gandy testified that he put money straight up into the bank account for Miss Gandy, correct?
Correct, Your Honor.
Okay, so why don't we do
May I-
those first, and then we'll go back and also do a separate column for Cash App, okay?
Thank you, Your Honor.
So let's start with the cash ones first.
Okay, on 1/9/23, there's a $200 transfer, Mrs. Gandy, and that account 31171, is that your personal account?
Yes,
Okay,
1/13, another $200 transfer. Is this your checking account?
113. Yes,
that's 113 of 23.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, go ahead.
On 1/17/23, a $60 transfer to account number 31171. Would that be your account, Mrs. Gandy?
yes,
On 1/20/23, $300 and a $400 transfer to account number 31171.
yes.
So that was 300 and 400.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay,
No, one of them says a mobile payment, the 300, that is not a transfer.
Yes, I'm sorry, Your Honor. On 1/21, $400.
okay, so there's not a $300 one.
No, Your Honor.
Okay, go ahead.
There's a transfer to 31171.
How much?
$400.
That's okay, so that's a second $400 transfer.
Yes,
And what day was that?
1/21.
Okay, and the prior $400 transfer was on what day?
It's the same one, Your Honor. It's 1/21.
Okay, so it's just one $400 transfer.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, go ahead.
On 2/7/23, a $200 transfer to account number 31171. Is that your account, Mrs. Gandy?
Yes, ma'am.
On 2/13/23, a $426 mobile transfer to account number ending in 31171. Is that your account number, Miss Gandy?
Yes, ma'am.
On 2/13/23, a $200 mobile transfer to account number 31171. Is that your account number, Mrs. Gandy?
Yes, ma'am.
On 2/13 of 23, another 175 mobile transfer to your account ending in 31171. Is that correct?
Correct.
On 2/5 of 24, a mobile transfer to account number 31171. Is that to your account, Mrs. Gandhi?
Yes.
How much was the amount?
$200, Your Honor.
Okay.
Okay, that would be all of the transfers directly to Mrs. Gandhi's personal account, Your Honor.
All right. Give me a second. Now, I may be wrong. I did it real quick on a little calculator. But I'm coming up with $2,061 as the total amount of actual cash deposits into Mrs. Gandy's account. Y'all follow me?
Yes,
Yes,
and our total came out to $2,061 also, Your Honor.
Right, okay, so I guess my math is correct. All right, so those were direct deposits into her account.
Yes,
Your
Your Honor.
Honor, Your Honor, may I ask a question?
Sure, ma'am.
So am I not allowed to, or are we not allowed to verify what these were for? Because I guess where my question is, if these were considered gifts, these were considered things that he offered to do, to send, and I would like to be a little more specific as to what these amounts were for, because as he did mention, he does provide money if my children wanted to get something or if they wanted to buy something. Or there was track uniforms that we ended up taking care of. I mean, some of these things have nothing to do with medical or dental. They could be things that I have been able to do for our kids, or the kids wanted something and that was the only means of transferring money for our children to get something. So that's just kind of where, for me, deciding whether or not these should be applied is kind of where I don't see or have proof showing that what these items are even for.
I understand that's your position, Ms. Gandy, and I'm listening, I'm factoring all that in.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now, the other was a cash app. Now, on the cash app, Ms. Gandy, your main objection is that you don't know, that you haven't gone back to verify your cash app that you got those. Is that what your objection is?
One objection would be that I could verify with my Cash App. Second, would be just the reason what that money was for. Again, we would have discussions about, okay, Nala wants something, or she wanted to get a gift for a friend, or they
Right.
wanted to. So those are, and also some of those say Nelson, and that's not me, and only a couple of them said Avita.
Okay. Y'all want to add up the cash apps that say Avita on them? I know that doesn't mean that's in fact true, but at least that's how it's identified.
Your Honor, we can, but I think there was just two medical, which would have been the braces from 12/21 for dolphin braces. That was 1840. Did your child ever go to dolphin braces, Mrs. Gandy?
She did go to Dolphin Braces, and I do not have a receipt or was not given a receipt for what that transaction was for.
All right. Okay.
And then there was glasses that were purchased also for your child.
Are you referring to Wavefront?
Yes, I'm trying. If Your Honor will give me, I'm trying to find that transaction.
Well,
was on.
I will tell you where I'm headed with this, okay? Because we're starting to get into the weeds when we start to get into reimbursement for medical, reimbursement for classes, reimbursement for activities, extracurricular activities. I'm kind of starting getting the weeds in there. The direct cash deposits, that point, once they're put into Miss Gandy's account, Miss Gandy gets to decide what she's going to use the money for. And I kind of look at that a little differently than I look at, where she didn't have choice. That's no different than the man that buys his child an expensive pair of Nike shoes and then he wants to take that off child support. I'm like, oh, no, because you made that choice. But when they give the money direct to them, at that point, the recipient gets to make the decision on how the money is spent. On the Cash App, and y'all need to educate me here on the Cash App. It's my understanding that once he gives her money through Cash App, then that's her money to spend as she sees fit, is if it's directly to her on Cash App.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, can you tell me how much, without going through each one, I guess we could go individually, but can you tell me approximately how much was Cash App where the indication is that it went directly to Miss Gandy? If you could, or if you want to go through them, I'm okay with that too.
No, there's just one Cash App with that says Avita on it for $100 on 7/8 of 2024.
Which was credited back on 7/20 for $100.
Okay.
That was
Okay, all right, I got you. All right, Ms. Zimmerman, if you have more questions for your client or more questions for Ms. Gandy, you may proceed.
No, Your Honor, because all other Cash Apps were made to the Nelson Cash App, and I don't have, if she's denying the Cash App Nelson. I'll call my client, Your Honor.
Okay, go ahead.
Mr. Gandy, the Cash App with Nelson, who is Nelson?
The name doesn't ring a bell. Not only did Avita receive Cash App from me, she received Venmo too. And not to discredit you, Your Honor, but you gave us, since March 7th we were here, you gave us direct orders to bring anything in that we contested, Avita and I both. I have brought mine, but now she's asking for more time to what she didn't do, what she was required to do. I have my discrepancies here in front of everybody.
I understand that, Mr. Gandy, but
You can ask Mrs. Gandy if she also received Venmo.
what your attorney has asked you
Yes, sir.
was you answered something that wasn't her question, okay?
Yes, sir.
So her question was Cash App Nelson.
Yes,
Okay?
so
She was pointing those out to me. Some pretty substantial Cash App Nelson. Can you
That's
explain what is Cash App Nelson?
again, I don't have any of the stuff other than this in front of me. There's been a lot of transactions I've given Avita to her Cash App. Those can possibly fall in the same category as transfers to Avita Gandhi.
They could, but you're not sure of that.
If I had, as far as we're looking, most of the transactions that are highlighted, almost all of them are to Avita and or something for our children towards.
I've got that part. I understand. Okay, I understand your position. All right. Do you have any more questions, Ms. Zimmerman, for your client?
No, yeah, when you said you had Venmo'd Mrs.
I did see one. It was right under, I believe, one of her bank transfers. There was two unhighlighted. It said Venmo in the transaction column. It's right under one of the highlighted. But it doesn't specify who it goes to. I just saw it as we were scrolling earlier. It said Venmo. It brought back to my attention that if we want to ask Avita, Mrs. Gandhi, if she's ever received form of Venmo payments from me as well, because they're on my transaction here history, but they're not highlighted.
Okay, all right. Do you have any other questions for Mr. Zimmerman? I'm sorry, for Mr. Gandy?
Your Honor, if you would give me a moment, I did see the Venmo that
Okay,
he
right,
was
it's
talking
right,
about.
the highlighted ones, keep going. It's gonna be a highlighted one, so,
Uh,
right, here we
But
go.
on 119, there's a Venmo to 130 and a 119 same day $20 Venmo payment.
2 more underneath that one, Mrs. Zimmerman.
25 and 25, 200 and 200 Venmo payment. After a transfer to Mrs. Gandy, do you recall who those Venmo payments were made to?
Not without a better transaction history, but I do recall transferring her to one of her accounts one time, and she said it had got closed, and she was in the negative. So all the money I had transferred to her got accounted for and paid off her delinquent bank account. So then I reimbursed her on Venmo like once or twice. It happened. We can ask Mrs. Gandy if she recalls it. I'm sure she's not going to though.
So this $200 transfer to Mrs. Gandy on to her account is the same amount on that same day of $200 Venmo to, you believe, Mrs. Gandy because of a checking
So we
deficiency?
can, yes, ma'am, we can ask her to better answer. I don't know when that, I don't recall when that account was closed for her. Again, it's not my personal account, and I don't know when it was a negative, but I do recall this event happening.
Okay. Your Honor, I have no further questions.
Just a couple quick questions. Ms. Gandy, do you recall these Cash App, the ones that are entitled Cash App Nelson? Do you recall what that was for?
I do not, I do not.
Okay, all right. All right. So you're disputing some of what he claims monies were for, but as you pointed out, some of these were in the nature of paying for extracurricular activities, and there's a question of what the agreements were and who owed who for what. And some of these were in the nature of medical and braces and glasses. How many kids are involved here? Two?
To Your Honor.
Yeah, and how old are the children?
12 and 14.
Okay, all right. Okay, I got you. All right. And you acknowledge that, yes, he did give some direct payments to this bank account that I've added up to being $2,061. But then the rest of them, when he says Cash App, he gave you that, you're not acknowledging that because you can't remember any of those. Do you remember him giving you these monies into this Venmo account?
I do not. I'd have to go back and look. I don't have record of that at the moment in front of me.
Okay, all right. Okay. Okay, I don't have any other questions for this witness. Ms. Gandy, do you have any other witnesses you would like to call at this time?
I don't have witnesses. However, I guess may I express a few things that,
I'm gonna ask you
oh,
that.
okay, sorry. No, I
Okay,
do not
because
have
you are
any
representing
witnesses.
yourself. I've got to make sure I give you this opportunity.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
so you don't have any other witnesses. Do you have anything else you want to tell the court at this time?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
So I did present in the app close, as mentioned, receipts for medical expenses. And I'm aware at this moment that Christopher's unable with, his income, but I did provide it in there. On April 2025, I did provide a receipt in there for $340 for physical therapy for my daughter. In September of 2024, there was an urgent care receipts that were provided for $125. In the app, I also provided receipts on September of 2023 for $25 for copay. And so I have not been reimbursed for 50% of that. which it's not something that I have ever been forcing onto him. It's there, and I would just hope that one day that he does take care of it. And I will say that my daughter on Monday is about to get retainers, so that will be another receipt that I'll provide on the app, and ongoing physical therapy. And so that is what I have for that. As far as the last conversation that we had when we were in session, you mentioned about the communication between Christopher and I, that he had to communicate through his mom through the app close. And I have record of 4 phone calls from jail, from the Aransas County Jail, that were made to my son's cell phone. 2 of them were on April 7th at 4:40 p.m., one at 4:41 p.m. I have one that he called on April 20th at 4:47 p.m. And he also called my son on April 21st at 2:59 p.m. I have not received any communication through the app from his mom. I guess relaying from him. There has been no communication through the app, but I do want to state and let you know that phone calls were made, even though you advised that that should not happen. Other than that, like I said, I don't have, I do understand that he presented the statements, but I haven't been given any receipts of the things that state in our decree that he should provide those receipts to me within a timely manner. I have not been given those. And as far as, like I mentioned earlier, as far as the things that he did provide through the checking accounts, could have been a variety of things, from gifts for the children, video games, it could be a number of things that I could, that I don't have record off the top of my head, because like I said, I was just informed of this today. But other than that, I don't feel as if extracurricular activities should be factored in, just because our kids are very active. We do have lots of activities that have happened, that are continuing to happen. And so I would just like for you to also consider that in your decision today. So.
All right. Ms. Zimmerman, do you have any other questions for Ms. Gandhi?
No, Your Honor,
Do you have any follow-up questions for Mr. Gandhi?
yes. Mr. Gandhi, are you asking the court to maintain the electronic communication between you and your children?
Yes, ma'am. I'm asking to be able to communicate with my children. I believe, I don't know if I'm answering out of turn. I believe it was stated last time, only communication with Avita Gandhi shall be admitted through app close.
And Mr. Gandhi, are you able to make phone calls to do your children have cell phones?
Yes, ma'am, they do.
And would you be able to make direct phone calls to the children within these next couple of months?
Yes, ma'am, I would. Only while I'm in the Aransas County Detention Center. Once I get transferred back to a prison unit, they have to be registered. But in saying that, the phone calls are also recorded here and in a TDC facility.
And are you asking the court, once you get transferred, that your children's telephone numbers be added to your list of contacts?
That is correct. I'd like for them to be added to my registry. Yes, I would like for them to be added to my registry. Yes, ma'am.
And do you believe that maintaining contact with your children would be in your children's best interest?
I do believe that it would be in my children's best interest.
And would you be able to write letters also to your children?
I would if there's no interference with the mail.
And are you asking the court to order any type of written communications be delivered to your children?
I would like for the court to admit all communication available to my children and I.
And when you are in the facility that you're being transferred to, are you able to do call your mom and have your mom call another phone number? Is that permitted?
No, ma'am, it's not permitted for me to contact anyone through my mother to the AppClose app, to another phone. There's no third party, me contacting someone and contacting someone else. I tried to explain this last time and I was shunned away from trying to explain it.
So your only means of communication with your children would be through their direct cell phones and having those numbers added to your contact list.
Yes, ma'am, that's correct. That would be the only way to have constant communication with my children and I.
And as you said, those phone calls are monitored.
They are recorded.
Gunnar, I have no further questions.
One last thing, all the phone calls on AppClose are not recorded.
Yes.
I have a couple of questions. Ms. Zimmerman,
Yes,
Is-
Your Honor.
okay, how old are the kids again?
12 and 14, Your Honor.
All right, and what is Mr. Zimmerman in jail for?
My husband is not in jail, Your Honor, but Mr.
I'm
Gandhi
sorry, what is Mr. Gandhi in jail for?
he is for an MTR for a violation, Your Honor.
MPR.
MTR, motion to revoke. He was on probation and he violated the terms of his probation with making contact with another individual.
Okay, and what was he originally put on probation for?
I believe it was for stalking a different individual, and then they got back together again, and when they hit the probation officer found out that they had got back together again, that's when they MTR'd him.
Okay, for stalking?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, all right. Is there anything in his criminal history that indicates that he cannot be around children?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, all right. So per his
No
original,
No protective orders were from the date of divorce to going forward. There's been no protective orders against the children. There's been no supervised visitation that's ever been ordered with him and the children. So
Your Honor, may I clarify?
as
Hold on.
far as his being able to contact the children, no judge has ever prohibited him from being able to contact his children.
okay. Ms. Gandhi, you're more familiar
Yes,
with
sir.
the divorce decree than I am, okay?
Yes, sir.
You and Mr. Gandhi, I'm sure, are very familiar with it. All right. Is there anything in the divorce decree that states that Mr. Gandhi cannot contact your kids, y'all's children?
In the divorce decree, no, sir.
Okay. Are there any follow-up court orders that were done that limited Mr. Gandhi's contact ability with his children?
Yes, sir. So the reason why he is in there at the moment, his stalking charge was actually charges with me. It originally started out as harassment and then progressed to the stalking charge. He
Okay.
then got an assault charge, which is also shown on his record right now. That was with the ex-girlfriend, which in turn caused the motion to revoke because he was already on probation for stalking.
Okay.
There was a time, I'm gonna say not 2024, there was a period in 2023, and I believe it was on or about May till about August, there was a no contact order that was put in place from the judge that he was not allowed to contact or be around me, or there was a comment in there that I have expressed multiple times that it stated he wasn't allowed to contact me or be around me or anyone that lived in my household, which the judge clarified that included my children since they lived with me at that time. And then in August, I believe, of 2023 is when that was taken off. And I was asked if I was given the option to do a long term, or I'm sorry, I don't know the correct word, but I was asked if I wanted to do a no contact order for forever. And I opted to not have that, to give him the chance to be around the children and have that communication, with that. The only thing that my question was, or the reason I brought up that, also, the children are 12 and 14. They're not allowed to have their cell phones registered with and I'm sure you probably are aware of that, on the registry on the TDCG, the Texas Department website. The register has to be 18 years of age or older, and it has to be, so therefore the children's cell phone numbers wouldn't even be able to be allowed to be registered for him to even contact them, which is why my cell phone at the time when he did get transferred to Beeville or whichever unit he was at, his mother did inform me that in order for him to contact, I had to register my phone number. And so I went ahead and did that so that way he could communicate with the children. Since then, while he's been in there from October to up until you said that he was not allowed to call us in March, there has been communication that he would call, obviously, my cell phone. I would allow him to talk to the children. And there were times whenever me and him would have conversation. And we've had to go through another criminal court case about a couple months ago. And I stated to that judge then, same communication, it's constant arguing, it's the same thing that we've been dealing with for several years now. And so when you gave the recommendation of, you mentioned, and I can't remember your exact words, so I apologize, but you did say that he wanted to call the kids, but him calling the kid's cell phone could be that kind of gray area. So I was under the impression, based off of what our last meeting was here, that he was not allowed to communicate or call their cell phones with that. So that's all I have for that.
Your Honor, if I may.
Go ahead.
Mrs. Gandhi, on that no contact order that was done that she mentioned, my husband was the criminal attorney on that, and that was amended, and that the children were not meant to be included in that no contact order. So that was for maybe a week of time period that judge, that they had to go back and fix the no contact with any family member or household member. So
No, ma'am, that's not correct.
He was able to have contact with the children. And then the second issue is that second criminal hearing that she's talking about. It was shock probation that she was asked to be a witness for, and that's when she testified. So it's not that he's been brought in for different criminal charges. It was shock probation that for what he's in for now, they brought him back out for shock probation. She testified and he was denied shock probation. So that's where we're at with this.
Okay, here's my question, Ms. Gandhi. So there's no current court orders, because I don't want to circumvent or ignore or override a prior judge's ruling. There's no current court order that says Mr. Gandhi cannot talk to his children.
Correct.
Correct? Okay, that's what I'm trying to clarify. All right. Okay, so I'm gonna wrap all this up. Don't worry, y'all. We're gonna be okay. I'm gonna have to wake Mr. Cavett back up.
I'm awake.
He's been patiently listening to all of this, but let me just tell you where I think we're headed. Since there is no current court order that says that Mr. Gandhi can't talk to his children, but you're telling me, well, their phones can't be registered because they're minors. So he's going to have to continue to call through my phone. Is that what you're telling me, Miss Gandhi?
Correct. And I'm more than welcome to pull up the website, but it did state requirements as far as registering the phone, sir.
But I thought you also said that here in April, there were several times he called.
So when you call from the Aransas County Jail, you can call any phone number. It was whenever he got transferred to the prison unit.
Prison.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Those have to be registered.
So here's where I'm going with all of that. With regards to the contact, if there's not a court order that says he can't call, then he can call. But Mr. Gandhi has to understand that if he's calling, he needs to be reasonable. He needs to call at reasonable times and reasonable amount of time, okay? Because any judge is going to say, okay, you should have telephone access to your children, but it's got to be at reasonable times and reasonable amount of time. Secondly, if he's in those conversations, if he's stating anything to your children that is causing your children mental anguish of any kind, Ms. Gandhi, you have a right to get your kids to a counselor, to get it set for a hearing, to come back to court and say, Judge, I want to limit his phone access to supervised only, where there's a monitor or somebody else involved, because after the kids hang up with him, they're extremely distraught and upset over things he's telling them. Now, I'm not inventing this stuff, Mr. Gandhi. I'm not saying you're doing these things. I'm merely saying, look, the courts, the legislature wants you to have contact with your children, but they don't want you to misuse it. Do you understand, Mr. Gandhi? You're on mute. Do you understand, Mr. Gandhi?
I do, Your Honor.
Okay. So if there's no court orders that state that you can't be calling your kids, then it's like any other divorce. You have a right to call the kids. Okay?
I think, can I
But it has to be at reasonable times, reasonable dates. It cannot be repetitious over and over in a harassing manner. And you got to remember that whatever you're saying in those conversations could be used against you to limit, because a judge can't come in and say, no, here's when you can call, what time you can call, what day you can call, and here's the terms and conditions, okay? So if there's damage, emotional damage, because it's not physical, obviously you're not there. If there's some type of emotional damage that you're doing to these children through the phone calls, and Ms. Gandhi is having to deal with that, Ms. Gandhi has a right to get an attorney to come in and say, I asked the judge, or whether it's me or another judge, ask the judge for specific limitations on that access, okay? But that's why I asked the specific questions about whether or not Mr. Gandhi was allowed to be around children. Was there anything in the current orders that limit his access to children, or specifically his access to his own children? If there's not, he has a right to call and he has a right to talk to him. Okay, but again, reasonable. And if it's not reasonable, Ms. Gandhi, if he's abusing that right, or if he's using the children as a weapon to get to you, ma'am, and so he starts like he's wanting to talk to the kids, but it's really because he's going into your life and your dating life and your personal life and using the kids to do that, well, I think a court would look upon that in a very bad way for Mr. Gandhi and say, well, no, you're just using your children as a weapon to basically get to Mrs. Gandhi. So I'm not accusing you of that, Mr. Gandhi. I'm merely saying, be careful what y'all do. Don't misuse it, because it's a privilege to be able to talk to your children. And just as Mrs. Gandhi has a right to talk to the kids, Mr. Gandhi, you have a right to talk to the kids. And if Mrs. Gandhi's doing something, messing up the children emotionally, Mr. Gandhi, you have the right to get an attorney to try and change things. Do you understand, Mr. Gandhi?
Here, Your Honor.
Okay. And Ms. Gandhi, same thing applies for you. So I'm not going to limit Mr. Gandhi's phone access to the children. I'm merely advising y'all that he has, as a father, he has a right to talk to his children. He says all conversations are taped. So if, Ms. Gandhi, you're concerned about things he's saying, you want to tape the conversations. Mr. Gandhi, are you okay if she tapes the conversation, since you claim you're not saying anything you're not supposed to be saying?
Your Honor, she already does that.
Okay. And so you
During
understand.
the phone call, she distraughts the children. I apologize. Yes, I understand.
Okay. All right. So see, Ms. Gandhi, you do have a way to listen in, and kids might get upset, and then you listen to the tape, and you might say, well, he didn't really say anything improper. They just missed their daddy. Okay. That doesn't mean he shouldn't get to call him anymore. Do you understand, Ms. Gandy?
Correct. So can I clarify on the part where you mentioned the order of not communicating? That was, you were the one that we had this discussion with in when we were here last time.
Right.
And so it's, to my understanding, it's in our temporary order. So that's the
Right.
only reason that I brought that up, was that you mentioned, we mentioned the non-disclosure, and so then he asked about calling the kids, and that was that kind of back and forth about that.
Right. And
Uh,
and with me getting more information now, ma'am, about prior orders not restricting him from talking to the kids, that there are no restrictions, again, he cannot use it because of non-disclosure. He cannot use it to get to you. He cannot
Right.
use to get info from the kids about you, like, for example, where you live and stuff like that. He cannot do that. And if he does that, you'll know it. He's circumventing the non-disclosure clause, okay? But he can talk to his children. And if my prior ruling was I'm not going to let him talk to the kids, what I don't want is him to circumvent the non-disclosure clause, okay? Which means keep him, okay, from getting into your information. And for that matter, Mr. Gandy, where those children live is where Miss Gandy lives. So you're circumventing it if you're trying to find out where they're living through the kids. Do you understand, Mr. Gandy?
I do.
Okay, so don't do that. Don't do that. I don't want there to be anything you're using to get out of the kids, their residence, Miss Gandy's phone number, or anything like that. Just don't do that at this point in time. Honor the non-disclosure clause, but I am loosening up and saying you can go ahead and contact the kids because I know of no reason otherwise that you should not be allowed to talk to the kids. Okay? And I'm encouraging you to continue to have a good relationship with your children. That's healthy and that's a good thing. But just remember, these kids are young and impressionable. They're at a very tender age where right now anything and everything y'all say to them, they'll go off. And you don't want them to end up where they've got to be with counselors all the time because of problems. Okay,
And
so
I understand. Can I just get clarification? And I'm okay with the phone calls to talk to the children. Can we just clarify, is that obviously right now he's at Aransas County Jail where he is allowed to contact any phone. Can it be to where it is through my phone since my children are minors and they're 12 and 14? Because when he does go off and get transferred off, it's going to be that case where he has to call through my phone, and then I'll allow the children to speak to them. So I just want to clarify that part.
here's the problem. Here's the problem, Miss Gandy. The problem is that, first of all, he is going to go be transferred off. So if it's going to have to go through your phone, that's going to have to be the way it is. But what that does, Miss Gandy, it puts you in the middle. It puts you catching the phones. You understand what I'm saying? Where you're
Right,
almost.
and I have no desire to talk to him. I mean, I will honor that part and give
Your
the
Honor,
phone to the children.
Your Honor, if I may, perhaps grandmother could purchase a phone to give to the children since she is over the age of 18, and that phone can then be registered, and that phone number can be used for Mr. Gandy to make phone calls to the children.
And again, Ms. Gandy, unless there's a specific reason why Mr. Gandy shouldn't be talking to those kids. Okay?
No, I'm not against him talking to the children. I'm okay with that. I guess
Mrs.
the only,
Gandy.
Hold on, Mr. Gandy. Hold on. Go ahead, Ms. Gandy.
I'm okay with you, with agreeing with you about him communicating with the children. My only question was the cell phones that my children have are obviously under my name and their personal cell phones. I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page as far as is he calling, like, for example, right now he's at Aransas County. Is that okay for him to call my cell phone and then I give it to the children for them to talk to them? I'm okay with that. That doesn't bother me because I don't have any desire to communicate with him. Because that eventually, like I mentioned, is going to be that case where whenever he does get transferred off, I just didn't know. I just want to make sure like he's not calling children's cell phone.
Your
Well-
Honor, Your Honor, I just read the rules. And since those numbers are registered under mom's name and her account, that's somebody over the age of 18. So he can register those phone numbers and make those calls to the children's phone numbers instead of Mrs. Gandhi, since she is the account holder.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Miss Gandy, since they're under yours and under where you can more or less control them, okay, because they're still yours, you do also have the right to kind of monitor who your kids are talking to, right?
Correct.
Okay, I would keep that because you're not objecting to Mr. Gandy talking to the kids. If you
Correct.
were, you would be saying, Judge, here's the problem. Here's what's happening when he talks to the kids. So if you were objecting and wanted changes on that, you would be filing something and asking an attorney to present, you know what I'm saying. So you're not objecting to that. We're just all trying to follow rules. The way I'm hearing it is actually having Mr. Gandy's mother go buy a phone and do all that takes you out of the loop, Miss Gandy. I prefer that, okay, to the extent he can call the kids' cell phones, he uses it, unless there's a change in a court order that says he can no longer talk to his kids by phone. All right. The fact is that by him calling those kids' cell phones, at least you can monitor it, check, see what calls, when, stuff like that. And you lose that control, Miss Gandy, if you give that right up. So,
Right. So
so-
I'm not wanting to give that up. I'm stating I would like for Christopher to call my cell phone number and then I, at that time, because again, I'm also thinking about making sure that it's reasonable times, reasonable days, making sure that it's not, while they're in school or, 5 or 6 times a day while we're
Miss
busy
Gandy,
doing
again,
something.
here's my question.
Yes,
And
sir.
wouldn't you know because they're on your account, you would know if that was happening, right? You would be able to check, correct?
Right, right.
Okay, hold on. Okay. All right. At this point, and those are fair concerns. All
Mhm.
right. And I'm glad Mr. Gandy's hearing those fair concerns because I've already said there's nothing that says he can't be calling at reasonable times, reasonable places. Okay. I'm not at this time going to order him to go through your cell phone to talk to the kids because actually you can monitor the kids' cell phones.
Mhm.
If it becomes a problem where Mr. Gandy's abusing it because of things you're concerned about, maybe they're not getting their homework done, maybe he's calling too many times, maybe I get it, okay? Instead of making you the gatekeeper, where he has to go through you because it sounds like y'all argue a lot, get into disputes, and it's a problem. So I don't want that, okay? I want him to be able to call the kids, but I want you to be able to monitor, okay? And so, ma'am, if he abuses it, you have a right to file papers to say, Judge, I need some changes on his phone access to the children, okay? And the judge would then listen to what's happened and make some decisions, all right? Same thing as if he says things to the kids that is not what he should have said, and a counselor says he's hurting them emotionally, mentally with what he's telling them. A counselor would come in and be your best witness, right? Come in and say, hey, and the judge is going to shut it down because you don't want to get the kids hurt. So I know we've gone very far into the weeds on this and that this didn't start off with this conversation, but I don't want to put it through more, Miss Gandy, where he has to go through you to talk to the kids, because I don't know of anything in the prior court orders that says he has to do that. And you've expressed legitimate concerns, and I'm sure Mr. Gandy's heard you. And I was watching him shake his head. No, I don't want to do that. Okay, Mr. Gandy, I'm not going to do it to you. All right. But hear my words. Don't abuse it. Don't abuse it. Yes,
Sure.
sir.
Just to make clarification, once I leave this facility, can we put it in a temporary order somehow, some form or fashion? If Mrs. Zimmerman, my attorney, and I have to write an affidavit for it, we will. But have Mrs. Gandhi register those numbers so the communication lasts when I'm transferred from this facility. Again,
If
facility, we can call any number. When I get to a TDC prison, I will have to have those numbers registered to my prison profile.
If- let me say this, if Mrs. Zimmerman is correct that those numbers can, because it's not my rules, it's the
Yes, sir.
prison rule, okay? If Mrs. Zimmerman is correct that those children's cell phone numbers can be registered, then yes, Mrs. Gandhi, you should do that. Why? Because again, we're gonna give Mr. Gandhi the opportunity to do right. And I'm really trying to keep you out of the fight. Okay, Miss Gandhi? You understand?
No, I totally understand. And that's where I would definitely will want to look at the rules and just clarify that, make sure.
That's right.
Because I don't
Whatever
want to
the-
break the rules on that either.
Yeah, that's right. If the rules say because you're the account holder and you are, of course, over 18 and you have the right to add those kids' numbers on there, then yes, ma'am, do so, because I
Right.
don't want to make it go through you every time. I think that's
Right.
just gonna make more problems. And then y'all end up fighting instead of doing what should happen, which is a father talking to his children.
Which has existed throughout the entirety of this relationship.
Okay, all right. Well,
Do away with that.
again, Mr. Gandy, I'm not gonna saddle you with that, but y'all gotta follow the prison rules.
Thank you.
Okay, and yes, Ms. Gandy, I am telling you, register them because you should, okay? And so I am telling you, yeah, if the prison allows you to register those children's phone numbers through your name, do it. Okay, Ms. Gandy? You
Okay.
understand? All
Yes.
right. Okay, now, do y'all have, Ms. Zimmerman, do you have any other questions with regards to this phone stuff?
No, Your Honor, I do not, and I
Okay,
just,
now hang on, Mr. Cavett, do you have any other questions with regards to this phone stuff? You're muted.
No. No, I do not.
Okay, all right. Then Ms. Zimmerman, do you have any other questions with regards to the issue of this judgment for child support arrears?
no, Your Honor, just closing.
Okay, and Miss, okay, so you have no other witnesses, no other, you just want to make closing. Miss Gandy, do you have any other witnesses or any other statements you want to make at this time with regards to the child support arrears? I've heard what you've stated, so on that, is there anything else you want to state at this time?
No, sir.
Okay, Mr. Cavett, do you have any questions for either of these two witnesses?
I do not.
Do you have any other witnesses you'd like to present?
I do not.
Okay, all right. Then Ms. Zimmerman, you want to go ahead and make a closing? Go ahead.
Yes, Your Honor, we're asking that Mr. Gandy's child support and medical support be at 0 from the date of March 7th of 2025. That he be given credit of $2,061 that were cash deposits directly into Mrs. Gandy's account, that the children's phone numbers be registered as per the inmate technology service rules for the state of Texas, and that any arrears that he owes may be zeroed out, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Cavett, do you have any kind of a closing or statement you want to make?
Sure. We're asking because there's a lot more involved, like the app close. So we're asking that to the extent not specifically overruled, that the temporary order stay in effect. That way the app close stays in there, the method of communication. And we are also asking, I guess, if a non-disclosure was made before we wanted to continue, we're asking for the court to make a ruling with regard to court costs. As to the arrears, and I'm just going to use and we're asking for March the 30th, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be April the 30th. But I'm pretty sure it's going to be the same amount because I don't think anything but the April payment came in after that she's asking for. But okay, so we have our arrears as of April the 30th at $2,391.23. And the total of the direct payments, and I'm not saying he shouldn't get more, is $2,061. The difference between the two is $330.23. So that's what we think the judgment should be. And I think the as of date would be April the 30th. So again, we're asking for an as of date of April the 30th. And for, it seems to me at least that he should get credit for that. but I understand just the simple math is that there's probably another $5,000 in there that he's asking for credit for, beyond that $2,061 in direct payments into her account. And so we're asking for that. He's incarcerated, Judge. We usually ask for a payback on things, $5 per month would be fine, just for the $330.23, if that's what the court's inclined to grant. But of course, in the court's discretion, any of those other $5,000 worth of claims that he has might be considered as a credit as well. And I'll leave that to the court. And I think that's it. And again, we need a ruling as to court cost and just to verify that there's non-disclosure on this case.
Your Honor, as rebuttal for court costs, I'm going to have my client fill out, since he is an inmate, the statement of inability to afford payment of court costs form that he's entitled to file with the court. Since he is incarcerated, I'll have him execute this and would be filing this with the court.
Are y'all okay, never mind. Okay, all right. I've heard both y'all's arguments. All right, here's what I'm gonna do. Seems like you two have both read my mind pretty good. Okay, because basically, my feeling about the additional monies that he spent, they both have the right to, Mr. Gandhi and Miss Gandhi both have the right to file for enforcement of the prior orders with regards to medical, dental, and any of those costs. Whether Mr. Gandhi owes Mrs. Gandhi or Mrs. Gandhi owes Mr. Gandhi, they have the right to ask for that for reimbursement. And that's not before the court today. So, and I'm not going to give Mr. Gandhi credit for extracurricular activities because I really don't know who paid what, when, who kicked in what. I know Mr. Gandhi's doing it. I get that. I see that. I see in his records that he's done a lot for his children. And I don't want to discourage that. And I don't want to be harsh and say even the cash money he gave was just all gifts and not give him credit. So I'm agreeing with the state's position to give him credit for $2,061 of the direct cash payments that went into Mrs. Gandhi's account, which would leave the arrears at $330.23 owing. And so that's going to be the amount that's owed as of 4/30/25. And I want that paid back at $30 a month, beginning June 1, 2025. My hope is that Mr. Gandhi gets that paid off pretty quick. $30 a month, basically, we're talking 11 months, and he pays it off. So maybe with his mom's help, he can take care of that so that's not lingering over him. But that is the amount that I'm doing there. I'm not going to give him credit for the rest of the extracurricular and other stuff, but the direct cash payments I am giving him credit for. And so that's why the judgment is going to now be, instead of the $2391.23 originally requested by the state, it's going to be $330.23. So I'm going to give him credit for those direct cash payments. I am ordering court costs against Mr. Gandhi at this time. I am ordering the parties to continue between them to use AppClose to talk to each other, because it seems like there is a lot of infighting that goes on. There's a lot of tension here. And with AppClose, I'm ordering both parties to use AppClose because it makes it where everything's monitored and we can tell what's being stated. I'm not limiting Mr. Gandhi's phone access to his children at this time, and I am ordering Ms. Gandhi to cooperate with whatever the rules are with the prison system to allow Mr. Gandhi to be able to contact the children through their phones, which Mrs. Gandhi and Mr. Gandhi have both agreed is currently monitored by Ms. Gandhi. And so she knows what's being stated. She can listen in if she wants. That's the agreement of the parties. And so they're agreeing to that she can monitor that. And Ms. Gandhi, I don't want you jumping in conversations when he's talking to his children. If he's saying improper things to those kids, you're going to have your proof. You go do it the right way and go to court and let a judge hear if he's misusing his time with the children. Okay. And by the same token, Mr. Gandy, you have to understand there's going to be times you're going to be contacting the kids. They're going to be in the middle of dinner, or they may be even taking a bath. And she may answer the phone and say, look, they're in the bath, or they're watching a movie right now. Can you call back at 9? So just be considerate of that, okay? Yeah, I want y'all to both understand, I'm leaving the door open for you to be there for your children, Mr. Gandy. Just please don't abuse it, okay? And be reasonable. Be reasonable. And Ms. Gandy, you too, be reasonable, okay? I am ordering the non-disclosure clause to continue in place. I am making a finding that on final order here that child support and cash medical is now going to be 0. And as that goes into effect, let's see, I made the ruling back when we did this in March. I believe it was March the 7th. Is that the temporary orders date? So
Yes, Judge.
so as of March 7th, 2025, current child support is 0, current cash medical is 0 because of Mr. Gandy's incarceration. Okay? And I think that covers everything.
Your Honor, regarding the inability to afford costs, can you consider that if I do file it?
Well, I will tell you that I've done lots and lots of these cases with regards to, I got to follow the law, and it says 0 when they're incarcerated. Okay, and I get that's what the law states, but I haven't had anywhere the court costs were then waived because of them being incarcerated. So I really don't want to consider that at this point. I want to just make it where court costs is part of the ruling. Now, remember, you have a right to a de novo hearing, and if you want to go back for the court costs, that's your call, okay?
Yes, sir.
But at this point, the state's asked for court costs, and I'm going to go ahead and award the court costs against Mr. Gandy. But keep in mind that is his right to go back and request that, to have that reconsidered. Okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Did I miss anything, Mr. Cavett?
I think you covered it all.
Okay. All right. All right. Did I miss anything, Mrs. Zimmerman?
No, Your Honor.
And I'm sorry I put your husband in jail, Miss Zimmerman. I didn't even intend to.
He goes to jail. He goes to jail all the time to go talk to clients. So it's
I
okay.
understand. Okay. All right. Okay. So if I've gotten everything, then I believe we're ready to go off the record. Y'all stay available, Miss Zimmerman and Miss Gandy, and Mr. Gandy, stay available to talk to Mr. Cavett because he may want to talk to y'all about circulating an order and docu-signing all of this. And I'm going to set this for entry on May the 9th. Okay? That way, Mr. Cavett, you can get me an order by May 9th. Hopefully that will give you enough time to put this order together, get it to Ms. Zimmerman, get it to Ms. Gandy, Mr. Gandy, so that they can all docu-sign. It's y'all's opportunity to review my ruling. Okay, folks?
Can I just get clarification on what non-disclosure means? I mean, I understand it's where I guess maybe I just want to make sure I understand what it means. Like, I know it means like maybe I don't give him, or I don't disclose where I live and phone number, but what exactly is that written in the?
I can talk to you in a breakout room, but in a nutshell, it just means that the court order won't reflect your personal information.
Right.
Okay, because then you mentioned like as far as him like talking to the kids, so like he couldn't ask the kids where I live. That's considered non-disclosure or not asking, right? Is that what you?
Well, I think the judge already ruled that that he could not do that, but no,
Right.
It just has non-disclosure just has to do with the court order itself and the court documents.
Right.
It doesn't have,
right.
so it's really to the district clerk not to release that information, and we just write on the orders confidential. But that doesn't mean that a person couldn't find another person through the internet and a million other ways these days.
Right. Right.
Right, I was just trying to get a
But we
better.
do our part to not give it away.
My main deal about the non-disclosure.
You have to disclose all that with the other parent, right? The
Okay,
divorce says you
let
have
me
to.
explain. Listen up. My main reason, Mr. Cavett is correct. It's just gonna say in the order, or, I mean, in the order, it will say confidential. So there'll be nothing in the order that says your address, your phone number, and stuff like that. Okay, I don't want Mr. Gandy to go around, there's a reason for that. It's to keep it all confidential, okay? Because of concerns for the past, of things that have happened. So that non-disclosure was granted in the past, it's granted today, all right? So I'm basically, that's why I instructed Mr. Gandy, don't go around the non-disclosure by them trying to, especially with that stalking stuff, everything that was out there, okay? We don't want that to be a problem. So don't be going around the non-disclosure through the children and saying, hey, where do y'all live? And stuff like that, because, and what's mom's phone number? Because then in essence, that could be used as evidence against Mr. Gandy that he's trying to stalk you again, correct?
Right, and that's
Okay, so
where I just wanted clarification, because I don't want Chris to continue to get in trouble. So that's where I just wanted that clarification, because there was a phone call where he was asking, well, where, my son, like, where's your room, or how do y'all share rooms? So I
as a
just want
parent,
clarification,
like, you would
so
want to know
I
that
don't want any
child
trouble.
And amongst other things, I have an objection to everything you're saying right now. Please stop. We've already made a decision. Let's live by it. Let's move forward.
right, guys, listen up.
Things
Okay.
that the judge has granted me, if I don't abuse them, then I'm doing right.
Right.
The
Okay,
decision
Ms.
already
Gandy.
been
Okay, again, there's not a protective order in place right now.
made.
There's no bond conditions in place right now. There's none of that. It's just because of y'all's history of
If there's
getting into
evidence on the phone,
discussions that turn into,
evidence.
don't interrupt, Mr. Gandy. Don't interrupt. Because of y'all's history of not being able to talk without it breaking into an argument, I've instructed y'all to go on and use app close. All
Exactly.
right?
Don't put it on the
So
phone.
that away, don't
We have an
interrupt me, Mr. Gandy. That away, Miss Gandy. Everything he tells you, it's gonna be documented, okay? And also you get to cut those conversations off pretty quick. It just say, okay, I'm not gonna talk to you when you're gonna talk to me that way, even if it's in writing, okay, you can stop. So that's the idea behind app close. Now, the idea, because of the nature of the charges Mr. Gandy's facing, okay, I've said, all right, I'm in a delicate balance here. I want him to be able to talk to his children, but I don't want him to use the children to get to you, to your personal information, to who you're dating, who you're seeing, what you're doing, and for that matter, to where you're living, if you don't want him to know where you live and stuff, okay? Because once Mr. Gandy gets out, and I hope that's very soon, he had a good job, he's a good, hardworking man. Once he gets out and goes back to work, what I'm hoping is that this thing's calmed down enough that he can actually go to your home to pick up and return the children.
That'll never happen.
But if it's not, then y'all need to have a neutral location where y'all meet. It's just that simple. Okay? All right? All right. Is there anything else, Miss Gandy?
No, sir, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Gandy, is there anything else at this time? Do you understand where we are?
At this time, no, sir, I have nothing further.
Okay. Ms. Zimmerman, is there anything else on your part?
No, Your Honor, I will just await with Mr. Cavett to get our information.
Okay, Ms. Zimmerman, it's been a pleasure dealing with you, ma'am.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Cavett, is there anything else I have with you?
No, just logistically, I don't really know how, and maybe they did it last time, how to get Mr. Gandy to be able to DocuSign. I'm assuming I just can't.
Well, one of the things maybe you could do is have Ms. Zimmerman sign form by permission.
Yes, of course. Right. Okay. Perfect.
That's just my thought. You
Yeah,
gonna
I-
have Ms.
I'll review and set up a Zoom with him, and we can go over it, and he can let me sign.
Sweet. Thank
That's
you.
way above my pay grade, Ms. Zimmerman. So whatever y'all figure out technology wise, I'm good with that. All right?
Yes.
Okay, guys. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and excuse all of y'all. If y'all stay talking to each other if you need to get the rest of that cleared up. But I appreciate all y'all's patience. It's been a fun Friday afternoon. So hopefully we've done some good done here, and I wish y'all all the best of luck. And I say this in the nicest way possible. Mr. Gandhi and Mrs. Gandhi, I hope I never see y'all again. But you understand why I'm saying that? Because I'm hoping y'all are working through it. Because y'all have two wonderful children to raise. Okay? Anything else? All right, then we're going to go ahead and go off the record, and good luck to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you.